Police bodycam footage recovered from a missing persons case. Just after midnight, an officer responded to reports of voices coming from Blackwater Bridge. Heavy fog covered the river. The bridge appeared completely empty. Then a voice called his name from somewhere in the darkness. The officer stopped and called back. No answer. No movement. Nothing. A few seconds later, the voice returned. Closer this time. Investigators later made a disturbing discovery. The voice sounded exactly like the officer himself. The body cam began shaking violently. More voices started repeating his name from every direction. Some whispered. Some sounded terrified. Others sounded as though they were standing right beside him. Then came a scream. The footage suddenly cut to black. The body camera was found on the bridge railing the following morning. The officer was never seen again, and he wasn't the first person to disappear there. The location at the center of this case is known as Blackwater Bridge, an isolated crossing suspended above a deep river several miles from the nearest town. During the day, it looks ordinary, but after dark, most locals refuse to go anywhere near it. For decades, stories have surrounded the bridge. Stories of voices calling people's names from the darkness. Stories of figures standing motionless on the railings above the water. And stories of people who simply vanished. Many were last seen crossing the bridge alone. Others disappeared while traveling with friends. In every case, the outcome was the same. They were never seen again. Authorities investigated numerous reports over the years. Search teams examined the river below. Officers interviewed witnesses. Yet no evidence ever explained the disappearances. What made the case even stranger was the consistency of the reports. Witnesses who had never met each other described the same voices, the same figure, the same feeling that something was watching them from the fog. How could complete strangers be reporting the exact same experiences? And why did every account lead back to Blackwater Bridge? One person became particularly interested in those questions. Ethan Graves, 43 years old, a respected paranormal investigator known for solving cases others walked away from. Ethan had spent years separating fact from fiction, but Blackwater Bridge immediately caught his attention. While reviewing witness evidence, he discovered something disturbing. A voice recorded near the bridge almost 20 years earlier appeared again in a recent recording. The exact same voice, unchanged, as though no time had passed at all. For Ethan, that was enough. He decided to visit Blackwater Bridge himself. And that decision would change everything. A week later, Ethan arrived at Blackwater Bridge with a small documentary crew. The weather was calm. The river moved quietly beneath the bridge. At first, nothing appeared unusual. No voices, no figures, no signs of anything that could explain the stories. For nearly an hour, the investigation produced nothing. Then one of the audio technicians noticed an odd sound coming through a microphone placed near the center of the bridge. Nobody had heard anything in real time, but during playback, a voice could be heard beneath the sound of the wind. Soft, barely audible, yet unmistakable. Ethan. The crew exchanged nervous glances. The recording continued. A few seconds later, the voice returned. Ethan. The name was spoken clearly, as if someone was standing directly beside the microphone. Investigators immediately reviewed the footage. No one present had spoken. No other people were visible anywhere on the bridge. The source of the voice could not be identified. Ethan attempted to dismiss it as interference, but even he appeared unsettled. Later that evening, while documenting the bridge from a distance, Ethan noticed someone standing near the center of the roadway. A woman, motionless, partially hidden by the fog. At first, he assumed she was a passerby. He raised his camera. The woman appeared to be staring directly at him. Then a truck crossed the bridge. only for a moment. When the vehicle passed, the woman was gone. There was nowhere she could have gone. No nearby path, no parked vehicle, no sound of footsteps, nothing. The bridge was empty again. Yet several members of the crew later confirmed they had seen her too. The footage captured no sign of anyone standing there. Only an empty bridge swallowed by fog. Who had spoken Ethan's name? And who was the woman standing in the middle of Blackwater Bridge? Disturbed by what he had experienced, Ethan began digging deeper into the bridge's history. He reviewed police reports, archived newspaper articles, witness interviews dating back decades. Again and again, the same details appeared. People reported hearing voices calling their names. People reported seeing a woman somewhere on the bridge. And many described an overwhelming urge to keep walking toward her, even when every instinct told them to leave. Then Ethan uncovered a case that immediately caught his attention. Nearly 15 years earlier, another paranormal investigator had traveled to Blackwater Bridge. Like Ethan, he had arrived hoping to explain the stories. Like Ethan, he had interviewed witnesses and documented strange activity. Then he vanished. His equipment was recovered. His vehicle was found parked near the bridge, but he was never seen again. The case remains unsolved. What unsettled Ethan most was the investigator's final journal entry, written only hours before his disappearance, contained a single sentence. "She knows we're looking for her." No explanation followed. No additional notes. Nothing. Just those 5 words. For the first time since arriving at Blackwater Bridge, Ethan began to wonder whether the bridge was connected to a haunting, or whether something there was watching the people who came searching for answers. And if that was true, had it already noticed him? After reviewing decades of reports, Ethan finally uncovered a piece of evidence that changed the entire investigation. An old journal belonging to a bridge maintenance worker who had disappeared years earlier. Most of the journal described strange events on Blackwater Bridge. Voices in the fog, people hearing their names, figures appearing on the roadway late at night. But it was the final pages that caught Ethan's attention. The entries became frantic. The handwriting grew unstable. Then, on the very last page, the worker left a message. "They are still here." According to the journal, the voices did not belong to ghosts. They belonged to the missing, people who had vanished on the bridge over the years. The worker believed they were somehow trapped there, calling out from the darkness, trying to be heard. The journal ended abruptly. Days later, the worker disappeared. That same night, Ethan returned to the bridge. Fog drifted across the roadway as the crew prepared their equipment. Then someone appeared ahead. A woman, standing near the center of the bridge, motionless, watching. Ethan slowly moved closer. For the first time, he could see her clearly. It was the same woman witnesses had described for decades. The same woman connected to countless disappearances. She stared directly at him. Then she smiled. At that exact moment, every camera shut off. Every monitor went black. Every audio feed died. The entire bridge fell silent. Seconds later, the equipment returned. The woman was gone. No one saw her leave. No footage explained what happened. And for the first time, Ethan began to suspect that whatever existed on Blackwater Bridge knew exactly who he was. What was the woman? And why did she seem to be waiting for him? Following the encounter with the woman, Ethan became increasingly determined to uncover the truth behind Blackwater Bridge. Against the advice of his crew, he made a decision. He would return alone. Just after midnight, Ethan arrived at the bridge carrying only a camera, an audio recorder, and a flashlight. Heavy fog covered the roadway. The far end of the bridge was completely hidden. First, everything seemed quiet. Then the whispering began. Faint voices drifting through the darkness, too distant to understand. Ethan stopped and listened. The voices continued, growing clearer with every step. Soon they were speaking words, calling his name, again and again. Ethan, Ethan, Ethan. The recordings later revealed something disturbing. The voices were not coming from a single direction. They surrounded him, ahead, behind, beside him, as though dozens of unseen people were standing just beyond the fog. Then the woman appeared, standing at the center of the bridge, waiting, motionless. Ethan slowly walked toward her. The closer he got, the quieter the voices became, until there was only silence, complete silence. His camera suddenly flickered, the image distorted. Static flashed across the screen. The audio crackled. For several seconds, Ethan stood perfectly still, staring at the woman. Neither of them moved. Then the footage began breaking apart. Frames disappeared. The image warped. The timestamp jumped forward. Investigators later discovered that nearly 2 minutes of footage were missing. Nobody knows what happened during that time. When the recording returned, Ethan was no longer facing the woman. He was facing the camera, standing completely motionless. A strange expression spread across his face. Slowly, deliberately, he smiled. Not the smile of someone relieved. Not the smile of someone who had found answers. A smile that none of his friends, family, or colleagues had ever seen before. The camera fell sideways. The recording ended. And whatever happened during those missing minutes on Blackwater Bridge was never captured. Ethan returned home the following morning. At first, nothing appeared unusual, but those closest to him quickly noticed changes. Friends described him as distant, cold, unusually quiet. He stopped answering calls, canceled meetings, and refused to discuss what happened on the bridge. Several people claimed he often seemed distracted by something no one else could see. Sometimes he would stop in the middle of conversations and stare into empty space for several seconds. Then the disappearances began. A friend who visited Ethan's house never returned home. Days later, another acquaintance vanished after meeting him for coffee. Then a local reporter investigating the bridge disappeared as well. Witnesses gave similar statements. Each missing person had been seen speaking with Ethan shortly before they vanished. Police searched for evidence, phone records, security footage, witness statements. Nothing explained where the victims had gone. No bodies were found. No signs of struggle. No clues. Only disappearances. As fear spread through the community, one question became impossible to ignore. Was Ethan responsible for what was happening? Or had something followed him home from Blackwater Bridge? Something that no longer needed to hide in the fog. Months after the investigation, Ethan Graves disappeared. Despite a nationwide search, he was never found. But the disappearances did not stop. If anything, they became more frequent. Recent witnesses claim that a man's voice can now be heard on Blackwater Bridge after midnight. A voice calling people by name. A voice many recognize. Ethan's voice. The final piece of evidence comes from a phone recovered on the bridge only weeks ago. The recording shows a lone figure walking into the fog. Then the voices begin, soft at first, growing closer, growing louder. The figure stops, as if listening to someone just out of view. The footage cuts to black. The person was never seen again. To this day, Blackwater Bridge remains open, and whatever waits there is still calling.